So this week, we're putting on door pins. Are you ready? Alright, so welcome back. So this time, I'm going to replace some door pins. As I mentioned in a previous video, the door pins on the passenger side are actually pretty worn out. You can feel some movement up and down on the rear. So as you go to shut the door, it really just shuts hard. It's got about a ½ inch to an inch of play. So I'm going to replace these door pins. Alright, so there's going to be really two scenarios that you're going to work on when you're changing pins. Either you're going to have the fenders on to where you can't get access to right here to the hinges, or you're going to have the fenders off. Most of the time when you replace these, it's going to be, you're going to have the fenders on, so you're going to have to take the door off to be able to get to the pieces. Since I've already got the front end off on the coupe, you can see, very easy to do. I'm actually going to just take the hinges off one at a time, take the 3 bolts out of the A-pillar lower here, pop the hinge off, take the pin out, and replace it. Okay, so here's kind of the situation you're going to get into if you're trying to work alone. If you're trying to take the door off by yourself, of course it's going to be really heavy. These things are still 50 or 60 pounds. They're going to be hard to deal with, so it's kind of up to you how you want to deal with it. Since I've got the fender off, I can take them off individually, piece by piece. It's just 3 bolts, obviously, in the hinge, and then you can take it out. You're going to have to take a little bit of time to wiggle out the OEM pin, which is like this. And you can see the aftermarket, of course, has bushings on it. But you can see these are different. So this had an E clip on it. This has a just an R clip on it, just like that. This is the aftermarket. So you can take this, you can wiggle it out, just take your time. It'll come out, but you're just going to have to be patient with it. And then you can also inspect for any rust damage in that. So you can see the back of my hinge, pretty rusty. This is 36 years old, so just going to take a wire brush and clean off the lower A-pillar where it bolts on. I'm going to clean off this, just kind of get rid of some of this rust, maybe hit it with some, well, I guess depending on how it is. I may hit it with some primer and that just to kind of keep it sealed so it doesn't rust any further, any surface rust. So at this point, it's time to take out the bushings. Now the bushings themselves are just going to slide in the hinge that stays on the door. So you're just going to take a screwdriver, pop those out, or a punch, however you want to do it. Get those out. You can then put these ones in, tap them in with a hammer, and then just replace the pins. So it's really pretty simple. And I'll show you the finished product because it's really simple, so you can do this by yourself. Just be careful on it. Don't go too fast. And if you're going to do it with the door on like I am, do 1 hinge at a time versus both. That way you still have 2 of the 3 fastening points, right? 2 hinges in the back where the lock is. So you've got 2 of the 3 still on there, and you still got a ability to hold the door while you're doing the piece of the swap. Alright, so here is the top one done. You can see there's a little bit of rust there. I've still got to kind of work on in that, but it'll be okay. So you can see the pin is in, there's the top, there's the R-clip on the bottom. Everything went together pretty well. You can kind of see the pieces came out. So of course the bushings there, well, I mean, they're disposable, I guess. So they're going to kind of crumble when you take them out. Just be careful taking them out. And then now I've got to do the bottom. So on the top, you can kind of see down in here. See how kind of crowded that is? Shielded, I guess. When you try to put down in your pin going down this way, it's going to be real tight on the edge of the door. So just be careful there. You could always put in some tape, maybe a piece of duct tape or something across here. If you want to try and keep your paint from marring. I didn't because I don't care about the paint at this point. So, and then on the back of this hinge, I'm going to put some silicone right here. This is something that OEMs typically do. Even this you can kind of see along the top. It had a little bit of squeeze out. But put a little silicone in here, just some RTV blue or whatever you want to do. And then it'll kind of bond to this, but it also keeps it from chattering and that. Kind of a little shock absorber. So once that's done, it's now on to the bottom right there. So, okay, so I have both hinge pins in. R-clips are on. Siliconed all the bolts, and I actually put a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts because I don't plan on taking these back out once I have them final adjusted. And while it's liquid, it'll still adjust pretty easily. I can loosen them up, adjust as I need to. And so the door is shut, everything's tight. Now it's a question of, will it actually shut without banging again? So keeping my fingers crossed, let's check it out. Now, a lot less movement. And it shuts tight because of the seals are still fresh and new. but I think we got a winner here. So let me do that one more time because it's exciting. I think we got a winner. So that's all for this time. So if the door pins themselves, while I'm doing them on a Mustang, are actually pretty common. If you're replacing them on an Acura, a Honda, a Nissan, a Chevy, a Dodge, any of that kind of stuff, it's all pretty much the same stuff if you can get replacement aftermarket parts. Now, most of the manufacturers now have gone into where it bolts onto the door and onto the pillar to make it a lot easier, so you can take stuff off easier versus, you know, on the Mustangs this old, the hinge piece to the door is actually welded on, MIG welded on, so it doesn't come off and makes it a little tough. But either way, the process is the same, so if you're worried about not doing it on a Mustang or something else, don't worry. It's all going to be the same. It's all simple, and you got this. You can do it by yourself or together. Just depends on how you're going to get there. Two ways to skin a cat, right? Okay, so that's it for this time. We will see you next time.